asked for everyone's input. I was thinking, let's have a discussion, and that's perhaps a bit Swedish, but dead quiet, and in the end, someone said, "You the boss, you decide," and I was like, okay. And afterwards, one came to speak about me, and they said, if you want respect from this team, you need to take decisions,
Yeah.
and that I was a little bit too inclusive in my approach from that and stuff. So that's a mistake. I mean, you need to understand the cultural differences, and of course, when you're new to something, you can make those mistakes, and in the end, it worked out really well. It was a great team, but my starting out as the leader or the manager in that case of that team was didn't start out that greatly though. So that's something I remember.
No, that's all the things we learn from. Oscar, do you have any good examples?
Yeah, I have plenty of examples. I mean, that's I think that's what we do, make mistakes, right? And I don't have any funny examples like you, Jesper. But I do have some. I think a mistake that I keep repeating from time to time, even though I'm becoming better and better at it. But it's tough decisions that are relating to people. Or killing darlings in terms of projects where you've invested a lot of time, or people that you really like, but you realize that this is not going to work. It is it in your gut that you know it really early, but then you want to give second chances or third chances, or invest a little bit more, or wait just a little, one more quarter, and that is something that eventually it always turns out that you should have made that decision in the beginning, and it's really hard to do it. I'm becoming better at it, but it's still very hard, and I think that's a mistake that people just keep repeating because it's tough.
Yeah. No, one of my mentors once told me, if you're 60% sure, make the decision rather than creating a bottleneck. And I kind of like that, even if it's not 100% true. But speed is of the essence as well.
Yeah.
From mistakes now to the complete opposite. And not only do you guys come from a culture, I mean, Jesper talked about it, you're both Swedish, where perhaps openly bragging is sometimes looked down upon, but you're also two of the more humbler people I've met from the industry. And it's exactly because of that I would love for you to tell me and the listeners why you are a good leader. Oscar, why are you a good leader?
Okay. I'm not sure I am a good leader, but I think I tend to, my drive and motivation is to achieve things rather than being someone. And I think, I mean, that doesn't suit everyone, I guess, but for me, that's the kind of leader I want to work with. People that are in it for the change of, or for achieving something, a goal, getting somewhere, rather than, being someone in terms of your CV or your title. And I think that quite a few leaders would pursue the title or the fame or whatever it could be. So I think I'm in it because I like what I do. I'm really passionate about what I do. I have fun and I want to get somewhere. I'm not sure that makes me a good leader, but potentially not terrible to hang around, I guess.
I worked for you once, Oscar, and I think you're a good leader, so you can have that.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Jesper, how about you then? Why are you a good leader?
I like what you said, Oscar, as well. I think it's so important that you have to have that ambition and willingness to push forward, and I have that, and I'm someone who believes in a positive outcome. Even if the situation is tough, I think I'm good at still finding a path out of that, and by doing it in an ambitious and positive way, you can get people behind you, and that's what you need. And it's so important to be able to rally a team towards a common goal and drive that forward. And that is, I think, the energy that we put into that is our number one number one thing to do as a leader. You need to give that energy, and you need to be positive, and you need to be able to drive that group forward. And if you feel that you can do that, then usually you see the good results coming out of that. And I love that part of being in such a fortunate position as we are, that we actually can be in positions where we really can impact the organization. So
Yeah.
that's inspiring.
Both very good answers. We're soon running out of time, but I actually spoke to Pierre before and said we're allowed to run a bit over time because I have a few more great questions. I'm going to stop tormenting you with bragging about yourself, but let's give some praise then instead. If you had to name one name and a very short motivation of another CEO or senior person within the industry that you've been inspired by as a leader, who would that be and why, Jesper?
Okay, off guard, but I think I can even look. I really enjoyed working with people that are founders as well, and I've been very fortunate to work with Pontus in Betsson, who is a legend in our industry, and the same. My previous company, my boss was a guy called Calvin Eyre, who was also a founder, a very different person than Pontus, you can say, but still, when you have that type of people that have created something from very little to very, very big, that's inspiring. Yeah. So I've learned a lot in different ways from both of them, I can say.
Yeah, thanks. Oscar, do you have anyone that inspired you?
I'm only allowed to say one. I thought what Jesper said was really inspiring, so I would say Jesper then. but if I'm allowed to say a few people, I think it's I'm trying to sort of pick the cherries out of the people I meet. I think, Lasse, when we work together, the way you inspire people and the way you sort of include people, that's something that I really try to learn from, because I think that's super important.
Thank you.
But then there's also like Ulrik, the chairman of our board. I think he has, he wants somewhere. He wants to take the company somewhere, and he's really eager about that. And that's also motivated me a lot to have that sort of, someone that really wants to push it somewhere. And then actually, Jesper at Mr. Green. We didn't tag along at all times, but I think what he did, he was very passionate about what he did. He really loved, what he did, and I think that's super important as a leader as well. So
indeed,
yeah.
A lot of good answers there.
I want to say that to Oscar, some great examples. I know those guys as well, and they're lovely, inspirational people.
One last question before we round this one off, and it's a random one. Is there a standard for industry leaders when it comes to fashion and look in our industry? Because it seems like chinos and light blue shirts is the go-to apparel for CEOs and other seniors in our sector. Is it time for a change? And or are we just afraid to stick out? Would you, I don't know, come with nail polish to work if you thought that looked good? Very short answers here because we're over time. Jesper?
No, I don't think nail polish on me looks very good, so I wouldn't do that. But
if you did it,
if I did, then you should. It's all about take something you're comfortable in, and that can be whatever it is. But I think you also need to have a certain standard, of course, because you're still being looked at, and if you don't have a certain standard, you can set a level that is perhaps not the right one. Good. But
short, Oscar, you as well. Sorry, we're so out of time here. Oscar, short as well.
Yeah, no. I think we all need to be more concerned about what we achieve and not what we look like. So I would definitely have nail polish if I wanted to.
That's fantastic. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I just want to give a big thanks to both of you for participating and sharing so much with us today. And I really hope all of you listening enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, everybody, and bye.
Thank you very much.
You.
Welcome back to the studio. Thank you so much for that, guys. Wow, what an amazing day we've had. Right, Pierre?
Yeah, it's been a fantastic day.
It's been fantastic. Yeah. It's been such great content. I've personally enjoyed listening to all of the panels and discussions today. But Pierre, out of curiosity, what are some of your highlights of the day? Something that you particularly enjoyed from the day?
Yeah, thanks, Alice. No, I'm in agreement with you. I mean, it's been fantastic to go through this day, actually. And, you know, I really like the starting panel, the CEO Ask Me Anything panel, that, you know, some of the CEOs can, you know, have a relaxed panel together, just ask me anything, whatever it is, and just relax and not have this like prepared answers and formality and these things. And I think that's really important to bring out that side, you know, to the individuals of this industry. And then moving on to the investment side, you know, it's a panel we've been trying to put together for ages. Is Kinder's Journey to Zero. You know, Kindred announced this a very ambitious goal back in December, that they were looking to eliminate the revenue from harmful gambling by 2023. Something which they're obviously leading the field in, so to say, in the industry, and really interesting to hear more kind of what goes on behind the scenes with that decision, because it's obviously very ambitious, and they are obviously trying to do their best to meet this goal, but clearly, you know, they can't do it alone. They need other stakeholders to follow suit and so on. So interesting to hear Kindred talk more about that. Yeah. And you know, following up on that, I would say as well, the meteoric rise in investments, also something that's a really interesting panel to hear. You know, the iGaming industry has performing extremely well over the last 12 or so months, with you know, some companies doubling their share price, tripling, quadrupling, and is there any prospect for future growth? And it's interesting to have not only gaming industry expert, but you know, professional from Morgan Stanley giving their opinion and advice in this. And I think it's important for our industry to have these outside influences for us to learn from. So really interesting panel. Nice to see my old friend Michael Pavlo as well coming back to the industry to moderate that panel. So then there is the other side of the industry as well. You know, we had one of the topics, eliminating gaming stigma, which is very much touching on the very hot potato ESG, which is basically a larger trend in the finance world at the moment, where investors are currently looking to invest more and more into ethical projects, right? And sustainable projects, like companies that are doing good for the world, let's say. You know, one of the panelists, she mentioned that a third of all assets under management right now globally is put in ESG funds. And to give some perspective on that, in 2016, $23 trillion was under management in ESG funds. So 23, and now 2020, that number has gone up to 40 trillion, right? So clearly there is a trend that is heading towards a more sustainable future, even in the investment world. I think it's pretty clear that whoever doesn't follow suit will be left behind, right? So if you're a listed organization, you cannot afford not to have a strong ESG agenda these days and going forward, because investors are very conscious about where they are putting their money these days. And that's why partly we see Kindred now, for example, going out publicly announcing that they want to eliminate harmful gambling. This is very much an ESG initiative, right, to show themselves as sustainable. Okay, and to go full circle as well, you know, the last panel, I've been excited for the whole day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, my good friend Oscar, Lassen, and Jesper. You know, I just love to see that even CEOs are human beings. You know what I mean? And to discuss their fuck ups basically, and the screw ups, and I think that any modern leader these days who want to be a role model to their employees should be able to show that side to themselves.
Yeah, the human side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's fantastic showcase of Jesper, Oskar, and Lassen to show themselves as these modern leaders. And I know them privately, and this is who they are, and I'm really thankful for them coming on today. So these are some of the highlights that I had for today. But I also, before I leave it over to you, Alice, I wanted to also quickly go through the polls one more time here to close things off on the event side today. And we talked a little bit before which stocks the viewers feel are most bullish. So we discussed that already. Evolution is the standout here, for example. The viewers really believe in the future of Evolution as a company. But we had some other polls as well. And I will see if I can go through maybe 2 or 3 of them. And we see here, for example, on the ESG side of things, one of the questions were, how much does your organization put a value on ESG and responsible gaming? And really good to see that 65.8% voted that this is a top priority of their organizations. And I bet that just a few years back, this number would have been a lot lower, probably.
Absolutely.
So we are heading the right direction, that's for sure. And another interesting poll is, should Amazon's acquisition of MGM that happened just about a week and a half ago, should that be a concern to the gambling industry? Because it seems like Amazon is moving closer and closer towards gaming. And 31.6% voted that yes, in a couple of years, this could be a concern for the industry. Also something that our friend Todd Hasshalter talked about in 2019 of the iGaming Next conference. He predicted that what we should be worried about as an industry is the likes of Amazon entering our industry.
That's right.
Right? And let's see what we have. And we have one last poll here as well that I want to bring up, which is, will we ever see EU harmonization for iGaming regulation? Something that is obviously in the interest of the gaming industry. And yes, within 5 years, 47.2% believe that this is going to happen. I would personally be a bit more doubtful towards EU harmonization, considering that there isn't that much discussion going on EU level, and not even all EU countries are regulated at the moment on a local level. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong. Let's say that. So these are just some of the things that I noted today down, and I'd love to leave it over to you again, Alice.
No, great summary. That's amazing. It's not over yet though, so we still have day 2. So tomorrow it's all about technology and marketing. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about the US market. We're going to talk about crypto and cryptocurrency's impact on the future of iGaming and sports betting. We're going to talk about one-touch push into live gaming. We're going to talk about NIF and gaming, what the future looks like for advertisers, technology as a competitive advantage in the US market. We're going to talk about customer acquisition and retention in the US, so a bit focus on the US there. We're going to talk about the future of digital marketing. We're going to talk about machine learning and AI. So there's a lot going on tomorrow as well. So tune back in tomorrow. We're going to start off at 10 o'clock. With a welcoming speech given by Petra Maria Pula from One Touch. So she's going to give the opening speech, and she's going to be followed by our first panel, which will be about 5G will accelerate player engagement beyond $100 billion. So that's quite a title as well. So have an amazing evening, guys. I mean, we're really happy about the success today. Pierre, I want to finish off with our success fist bump. Okay, are you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Hey. Hey. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Goodbye and good night.